is texting me? What do you want?
Who?
It's my bitch.
It's your side bitch?
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Okay, well.
In the podcast.
How's she doing, by the way?
Well, I mean, COVID's hitting everyone hard, and that industry has suffered
the side bitch
significantly.
industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, definitely. No.
And I already give her, like, I pay her the lowest rates.
Yeah, it's hard to wreck a home when, you know, you have to stay in your own.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go to someone
Can't
else's.
wreck a home you don't have, right?
Yeah,
so you need the home to wreck it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Or like you can't just. I mean, like you can only wreck your own home so much.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like it's just we all have to adapt. We all have to adapt. You know.
This podcast is sponsored by AshleyMadison.com. Use offer code CHILLSPOT to get 50% off your next affair.
You too can ruin your relationship with AshleyMadison.com.
Do you want to end your relationship in the most catastrophic way possible? AshleyMadison.com.
That's one of my things because this is something that has been on my mind for a while now. So you know that that earphone company Raycon?
Yeah, Raycon, yeah. Ray J's thing, yeah.
Ray J owns Raycon. That is his headphone company.
It's literally Ray, as in Ray.
As in Ray J.
As in Ray J, yeah.
As in Ray J. And like, you know, we do this thing. We have a podcast. We have a YouTube channel. You know, like we're trying to do the whole thing.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/chillspot.
We would love sponsorships, you know, if anything, to make this channel better and more enjoyable for you, our listeners and our viewers. Of course. Honestly, that's really what that's really why we appreciate every donation and subscription that people can feasibly give us because like it goes into making the channel better.
That money is not going into our pockets.
We want to do things that will make the channel better.
That money is going right back into the channel.
I mean, at some point it would be nice to put some of the money in our pockets, but at the beginning right now it's more about just making the channel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I understand taking whatever sponsorship you need to do, you know, like I know I follow like YouTubers who are just like comedians and they're just trying to make it work, and you know they have Audible sponsorships. Well, Audible is run by Amazon, which is like certifiably the devil. Right, but are you so like but I
wouldn't say no to that though.
But I'm not going to flame a starving comedian who is just trying to like make ends meet by taking whatever sponsorship they can get their hands on, you know, like do what you got to do to make money.
Yeah, dude.
I also don't have to, I mean, like you get paid from the sponsorship, but I don't have to like buy from your sponsors if I don't believe in it. Like I as a consumer have free reign to not do that. So like there's that as well. So, you know, like people who are like, oh, how could you take money from this evil company? They do this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, they only get to do this, that, and the other thing if you buy from it, you know?
Yeah,
so,
totally.
like, stop buying from Amazon. But, like, Ray J, man, like...
Would you say no to a Ray J subscription?
No.
Or a Ray J sponsorship, rather?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not above that.
No.
And that's where the funny part comes in, right? Is that, like, I'm not above that, but it's just like, man, how do you go from pop sensation and brother of another pop sensation, because Brandy is his older sister.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah. To sex tape icon, like celebrity sex tape icon, to headphones?
Well, he's trying to do the Dr. Dre thing, you know? Where you're a rapper and a producer, and then Apple is like, hey, can we put your name on our like pretty good, but some people consider them subpar headphones, and then sell them for insane amounts of money, and then give you some of that money?
And Raycon does do the Beats by Dre thing, where like they're like you're willing. I haven't used a pair of Raycon headphones ever, but
they're apparently just cheap alternatives to like
if they're
AirPods and shit.
If their sound quality is decent, where they strive is design. Totally. Like in my opinion, like I've owned a pair of Beats, and to be perfectly honest, there are better headphones out there. I have had better headphones that like over-the-ear headphones than Beats by Dre, to be perfectly honest.
I'm personally really happy with my studios.
But they're a beautiful design.
Of course, they're gorgeous.
So beautiful.
It's more like a fashion statement than anything.
Exactly. And like that's a thing. Like some people, like they want a pair, if they're going to have a honk and chonk and thing on their heads, they want it to go with their outfit.
Yeah.
And you know what? That might sound superficial, but like I'm not above that. So I'm not gonna cheese people for it.
You can make the same argument for people who buy fashionable glasses.
So whatever. So like you sacrifice sound quality for a pretty pair of headphones.
I think the sound quality I have is fine. You clearly disagree, but whatever.
I disagree. I think that the bass could be a lot for a pair of headphones designed by someone who is part of a group that used bass in its music, in its own music, it could be better.
I might not have bass boosting on my phone turned on though, because that's something. Because you have to double check your phone's sound settings.
But I've had headphones where you don't have to do that.
Right.
Like I've had Sony headphones that didn't need that aid.
Totally.
At all.
Well, you're an audiophile.
No, I'm not.
You're actually a moderator over at r/audio.
I am.
I've actually seen Sam flame people for being like, vinyls are cool, but like I just prefer MP3s. And
I was the person who told you that you were a fucking idiot for buying your record player.
Exactly.
Remember that? Remember when like your record player wasn't working and you went onto Reddit to try and like ask anybody if they had like any solutions to solve your problem? They were like, just don't buy Crowley brand record players then. That was your first mistake, buddy. And you're like, thanks.
Thanks for the help, asshole.
Super helpful.
Really appreciate that.
I already have this
comment.
piece of machinery, so I don't understand where you think you were going with that, but whatever, mate.
That being said,
I hope you feel good.
Yeah.
I hope you feel good, like, insulting me then.
That's Reddit for you, though,
yeah.
right? Like, I remember I was actually having an issue with DaVinci, the program I used to edit, DaVinci Resolve. For some reason, this feature that I use all the time to, like, move footage around and, like, place photos and like rearrange things just stopped working completely. Like I would click it and the screen would go gray, and I'm like,
great.
Okay, so like I posted this issue on like r/DaVinci Resolve, and instead of being like, oh, here's why this is happening, click this to get rid of it, someone was like, there's like other ways you could be doing what you're doing, and that's all they said. Like they didn't say what those ways were.
Yeah.
They didn't say like what the problem was.
Yeah.
Like you went out of your way to tell me that there's better ways to do what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, so this is specifically what I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't say this, but I was like, you're being maddeningly unhelpful with your dumbass comment.
Yeah.
But like.
No, that's like if you were trying to grow a plant and you were watering it every day and you like went to like a greenhouse and was like, hey, so I'm trying to grow sunflowers and I water them every day and they're not growing. Like, what's going on? And someone was like, well, there are other things that you can do to grow sunflowers.
Oh, well, I mean, you could have been using apple juice this whole time, but I guess you didn't decide to do that, idiot.
No, like imagine if they just said, well, there are other ways.
Thanks.
And you're standing there like, what are the ways then?
Yeah, why don't you expunge on some of those ways? What those ways are, you fucking asshole.
Like, what you are saying is halfway helpful. You know, like,
no.
Okay, fine. I'm glad to know that there are other ways, but you just leaving it at that is super unhelpful because now I have to, like, I don't know what those other ways are. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to type into a search engine. I don't know, like, if there's someone else that I should be asking. Should I not be asking someone who works at a greenhouse? Should I be asking a goddamn cosmetologist this question? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, man.
Like that is so unhelpful in the sense that it puts me on a different path with no idea where to go from there.
Okay, being half helpful is like half winning. There's no such thing as half winning.
Exactly.
You either won or you lost.
Like you're not contributing toward a productive solution here by just saying, "Oh, there are other ways you can do that."
If you're being half helpful, you are being unhelpful.
If you want to say that, why don't you just say, try watering your sunflowers with apple juice. See if it works. Don't do that, by the way.
No, because that guy, he wasn't interested in helping me.
No.
He was interested in belittling me.
In being right.
In being right.
Yeah.
And showing me that he's the alpha male.
Yeah.
And that he is the leader of the wolf pack here.
And it's just like, why are you trolling this very specific subreddit for this like audio and like video editing software? Just to dunk on people, like
because
go to Twitter like everybody else.
Because
like,
some people literally have so much time on their hands.
Like you must be because holy cow, man! Like I don't get it. I just don't get it.
So fun fact, I was reading this a couple months ago. Obviously I'm not an authority on the subject, but let's talk about it anyway. I made a comment just now about like alpha male, beta male.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with like alpha male and beta male is that's based on like what we believe to be how wolf packs worked.
Yeah.
That's all fake.
It's not real.
It is 100% untrue.
Wow.
Yeah. There is some scientist that came back and was like, yeah, that's not how wolves work. Like, there's no alpha male, there's no beta male, there's no, like, that doesn't work like that.
So where do we pick up this garbage from?
So why are we still applying it to human beings?
Yeah.
Because it literally doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, because we like thinking that there's some sort of science behind the straight up, like, prejudice and hierarchy that we have made up for ourselves. We have been living in this like crap that we've made up for ourselves for so long that some people are just better than others because of reasons. In order to keep, or in order for the people who believe that they're above or that are like alphas, in order to keep their status.
See,
so we make up phony science to make it seem halfway legitimate.
But what I don't understand about that notion, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, is these dudes who consider themselves alpha males. Like, what's your atypical alpha male? You got like a gym rat who's like a douchebag, who is like ripped and good looking, conventionally good looking.
I was gonna say conventionally,
who's conventionally attractive,
yeah.
Who like I don't know, like maybe has some wealth or maybe even not. But let me get this straight, bro. You think you're an alpha male because you work out all day and play Call of Duty and yell at your girlfriend? Like that's what you think makes you the apex of the human race?
Yeah.
Like you're a fucking idiot.
Like I guess and this isn't founded in any sort of science at all. So like don't believe this to be true at all, but like the tunnel vision thought process there that I have been told to believe, especially as like a woman, because like they strike this fear into like women as well. Is also very heteronormative.
Sure.
But I mean like this whole thing is toxic. So like may as well throw heteronormativity into it as well, because that's toxic. Is that like women should seek out alpha males because if you want the best luck of ensuring the continuation of your bloodline, you will search out the strongest and most powerful mate who's going to provide for you and your family so that you all survive anything.
Survival
survive
instincts, sure.
You know, natural disasters, sociological changes, financial crisis, you know, like the baseline of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is like food, shelter, security, love, all of that stuff. So you want like a strong, powerful man who's going to provide for you. And so like on a surface level, when you're a single woman and you're looking for those things, like you see a man with muscles and you're like, okay, check one. Okay, go after him because he can lift things. And so if I ever, I don't know, if a big boulder falls down in front of our cave, then he can like push it out of the way and we won't starve to death, you know?
He's got such big muscles.
It's supposed to be a quote, air quotes, primal thing that encourages females to want to date you, to have muscles and like be big and tall and strong. That's why everybody's obsessed with height.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, you're tall. So like biology has already kind of chosen you to be strong. So why don't you like work out and like look really good and like eat really well and like you'll have an easier time like securing a mate and you'll live longer and you'll provide for a family and your bloodline will be really strong.
Sure.
And you'll be one of those humans that just like lives forever, right? Survival of the fittest. But the world that we've created for ourselves right now and the way society's developed is just not necessary anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But we are still operating, and like some people still like to push the idea that they are because people always will feel a need to be better than those around them.
I think that has a lot to do with general uneducation. Like, honestly, like I think that there's a lot of people out there who are, and stop me if this is rude. I think there's a lot of people out there who are so stupid that like they're latching on to something like this because their lack of intelligence sort of pushes them in the way of this like primal like fight, you know, go with your instincts kind of thing because that's what they believe to be right.
Yeah. Well, it's also very nuanced, right? Like it doesn't call for the fact that just because you have muscles doesn't mean that you have the mental fortitude to be good in a crisis. Maybe
of course not.
Maybe you do. But
I'm sure there's people out there that do. That's what the military is in a way.
But like maybe you don't.
Ideally,
it's
anyway.
It's very possible. there's a lot of factors that go into surviving, and like being strong can like help you. You know what I've started doing? Honest to goodness.
What have you started doing?
I've started thinking about life and like people's strengths and weaknesses as Dungeons and Dragons characters.
Interesting.
Where like just because you're weak in one department doesn't mean you're weak overall.
No, of course not.
You know, like when I played Dungeons and Dragons, I wanted to try and make, and this is partly maybe why I didn't enjoy the game so much, is that I wanted to try and make a character that was sort of like utilitarian and able to do something in any situation.
A jack of all trades.
I would toil over my characters to try, and like it doesn't work because ultimately like the things that your character can do are up to like the roll of a dice. Like you roll a d20 to determine the numbers of all of your stat. Like humans, and you know, like when we're born, it's a roll of a dice as to like what we're going to be able to do. And so many things decide what we wind up being good at and poor at in our lifetime. Sometimes it's just what we're made of, like down to genetics. Like we just don't do certain things. Some families are genetically inclined to be skinny, and some families are genetically inclined to be fat. Like, and it's just the way of the world. You know, like you can't do anything about that. Some families, you know, can be inclined to be fat. But if you apply yourself, have an easy time losing weight. Whereas like a family that is more inclined to be skinny might have a hard time, you know, keeping weight on. Maybe they don't have a hard time keeping weight on. Maybe they're just built a certain way. And then when it comes to like personalities and abilities, you know, like, you know, maybe you're in an environment where you're not surrounded by people who are really good at math. So like, you go to school and yeah, sure, like you're told to be good at math, but then everywhere else surrounding you, your household, your circle of friends, you don't use a lot of math. So that part of your brain doesn't get exercised that much. So you're just not good at math, you know, it's the same thing for science and for, you know, English and reading comprehension or language, I should say, because not everybody is born in an English speaking language or country or region. But, that doesn't, whatever you're good at and not good at, it doesn't make you more fit or less fit to survive or like worthy of being on this planet. It's just what it is. And like leading up to what you were talking about with teams and stuff like that, in Dungeons and Dragons, you have a team. So maybe you're not very good at physical stuff, but you're a lot better at interpreting languages. Okay, so leave it to the strong man who can, for whatever his build looks like. Maybe he's fat but has very, very big muscles. Maybe he's like wiry strong, so he's like really skinny but can like surprisingly lift a lot of stuff. Maybe you leave all of the physical stuff to them, the combat and the, you know, the moving of heavy structures. And then when you move a heavy structure out of the way and there's runes on the wall that no one else understands, you're the one who's good at that because you have the intelligence to do so. You know, humans aren't, you know, poorly designed or better designed than anybody else on the planet. We just have our strengths and weaknesses, and you make it work. In Dungeons and Dragons, you make it work. Like, I think the last character that I played was like a sorcerer of some kind, and didn't really have high dexterity. So in combat, when we had to, there was like a moment where we had to like do backflips or something like that, or we were in like an obstacle course that you had set up of some kind. Like my character wasn't super good at that,
right?
But really strong spells, and I was really handy in like ranged combat because I could like send like firebolts.
Yeah,
like
because you're a spellcaster.
Yeah, like they're like to an opponent's way. You know, like I was poor in some areas of human life and not so poor in other areas of human life, and it's the same for us, you know, in real life. Like,
I mean, you can say that this channel is an example of that. There are things that I'm good at that compensate for what you might not be good at. Yeah. And there are things that you are good at that compensate for the things that I'm not good at.
And just because I'm not good at the things that you're good at doesn't make me any less important to the team of like what makes Chill Spot work.
That's what makes us a team.
It's what makes us a team.
It's literally what makes us a team. Yeah.
Like, and I wish humans would just get that. Like, I wish we could just drop the whole alpha and omega bullshit, because what a supposed alpha can't do, maybe the omega can do, and then that makes us all better. Yeah. You know?
Well, that just makes sense, especially considering that, like we mentioned earlier, the literal base study of this, it was proven false. Yeah. So, like, if wolves, the example, doesn't work the way you think it works, why do you still continue to think that it works?
Exactly.
It's like, I mean, not to get like from one subject to the other.
We're getting pretty go there. We're going there.
It's like these anti-vax people, right?
Yeah.
The only reason that anyone thinks that vaccines might hurt you was because of one medical document published by a doctor who lost his medical license and then went on to say that it was all bullshit.
Yeah.
Why are people still anti-vaxxers?
Yeah.
Because they don't care.
Well, they also, like, they think that autism, which is, like, one of the biggest concerns for anti-vaxxers, is that vaccines are going to give their kids autism. They think that autism is a
like something
handicap.
You can catch, yeah.
Like something that is going to make their child's life harder. And
that's not even necessarily true.
Like keep them, like suppress them, oppress them, and keep them down in life. And it's not. It's all about the way that we view autism as a society.
It's true.
We think that autism is a handicap, something that that holds people back. Well, no, we've just constructed a society where it is that way. We could easily drop it tomorrow if we wanted to.
The part that bothers me about that is that, first of all, autism is a spectrum. It's not autism. You don't just have autism.
Yeah.
There are literally hundreds of kinds of autism.
Yeah.
And they all are varying degrees of how they affect you.
Yeah.
Second of all, you think autism's going to keep your kid down? You know what's really going to keep your kid down? Death.
Dying of measles.
Yeah, getting the mumps and dying.
Dying of a preventable disease that we successfully eradicated years ago.
You know, I don't want to vaccinate my kids, but I do spit in my kid's mouth every now and then.
It's like...
What?
What the fuck is the matter with you?
You know what that reminds me of? Did you ever do this my parents never did this. But my friends would tell me about, like, mostly in the States, about, like, chickenpox parties. About, like,
I did hear about these.
A group of like young folks when they have like a little friend groups and like the first kid gets chickenpox and it's like, oh,
they go and expose all the kids.
Get it out of the way to get chickenpox.
Yeah,
is that not the? I get the logic of like if you get chickenpox when you're young, you're not susceptible to it when you're older, and chickenpox when you're older is a lot more serious than when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I get that through line, but the idea of throwing a party for your kid to get a fucking virus is a little fucked up.
Just like let it happen.
You know? It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Do you have chickenpox when you were a kid?
I have had chicken. Yeah, I had it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do anything crazy? I mean, I literally just like sat in bed all day.
Dude, I don't remember it at all.
Like me neither, really.
I seriously got it like at like 2 or something like that.
You were born with chickenpox.
Very, very, very young. I had it.
Totally.
The only reason I know that I have it is because there's a really cute picture of me like in our old house, like naked on the counter, like looking at myself with like spots all over my body in the mirror. That's the only reason I know that I had chickenpox, other than my parents telling me. But I don't know. Like I got it. I don't think you need to have a party to ensure it. Well, they will get it.
Well, especially because like chickenpox isn't some like if you're around the kid who has chickenpox, you're not even guaranteed to get it. Like that's okay.
It's different for everybody.
Sort of transitioning into sort of like more general stuff here. With COVID and stuff, I feel like COVID was new and it came out of nowhere, and even the medical community was a little blindsided by COVID, right? So there's been a lot of misinformation and a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of new information which tends to contradict previous information, right? But something that we've landed on and is something important to consider is like you're not going to magically get COVID, right?
No.
If you're exposing yourself to COVID, like you're going out a lot and you're like touching countertops and
honestly,
then like
not even that.
Putting on your fucking face, like
not even that. Like there are people who are claiming to have been so careful and are still winding up getting COVID because like you have to go out at some point.
Well, obviously, yeah.
So you can get it like like you can isolate and do everything right, but you have to go to a grocery store at some point. So say you go to a grocery store, pick up a carton of milk, and somebody with COVID touched that carton of milk hours before and put it back on the shelf.
Right.
And then you picked it up, put it in your carton, took it home, and gave yourself COVID afterwards.
Oh, believe me, that's the scary part about COVID. I'm not trying to say that like it's not like as bad or like as spreadable. It's extremely spreadable. Yeah. But I'm saying that like if you're listening to the medical officers and you're taking every precaution and you really like, this is where it gets hard. And like this, I misstep on this too. It's like every time you get in the car, if you have to go out, you have to sanitize your hands.
Yeah.
Like every single time.
Yeah.
Like, and the scary part is that if you miss once, that might be it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's obviously scary.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, I think there's a lot of people who genuinely believe, like, if I go outside and take a deep breath, I'm going to get COVID.
Yeah.
And, like, that's not going to happen.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
That's more what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What I really want to know is, like, the time period. Because, like, yeah, like, I just said this. Like, say somebody picks up a carton of somebody who has COVID, picks up a carton of milk and then decides that they don't want it, puts it back on the shelf, and then a couple hours later you pick it up and then you get COVID. Mm-hmm. Does that happen? Like, what if COVID doesn't survive on surfaces for a very long time?
I think on metal surfaces, they said, this is months ago now, but on metal surfaces, they said it lasts about 2 months.
What about clothes?
It's going to be 2 weeks.
What about clothes?
2 days. Jesus Christ, Cameron.
Like, I was saying, I've said before the pandemic, I wanted to get into thrift shopping because it's good for the environment and
it's more economically viable.
It's just more economical for me and where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. But that scared me when COVID hit, because what if somebody who is asymptomatic donates clothes? How long do they live in clothes for? Like, can it survive? Because it's like, this is the thing, right? So, there's that whole myth that, like, you can catch an STD from a toilet seat, so cover up a toilet seat when you use a public restroom.
Which is totally a myth.
It's not true, because the bacteria from most STDs that, you catch from, like, surface level contact, like herpes and like chlamydia and crabs and stuff like that, they can't survive on the surface of a toilet seat. The only reason they thrive in humans is because we're a good host.
Well, we're warm
and like we have like cells that they can attach onto and mutate and stuff like that. Toilet seats don't have that. So you can't catch anything from a toilet seat. I mean, like, if someone with herpes uses a toilet seat and then you go in seconds after and like lick the toilet seat, you're gonna get herpes.
You're gonna get mouth herpes, yeah.
But in the time it takes for you to wait for somebody to finish in the bathroom, they get out, you walk up to the stall, go inside, take your pants off, sit down on the toilet seat, the bacteria has already died. It dies within seconds.
Because the porcelain is so cold.
It's something like 8 seconds for a bacteria to die. Like, you're fine. Mm-hmm. You can use a fucking stop. I mean, like, honestly, the only toilet seats I squat over top of are club toilet seats because it's so gross.
Well, yeah, Lord knows what's on there.
I mean, there's literal piss on them sometimes because drunk people have been in and out and not aiming properly.
Whee!
Like, I'm not trying to do that.
No.
But like,
there's like a small ecosystem on the other side of that toilet.
The mall, you're fine. Mm-hmm. You're fine. How long can COVID last in clothes, on surfaces, on like different surfaces?
Longer than 8 seconds, from what I understand.
Definitely. How long is that though? Exactly.
I don't know.
If someone touches that carton of milk in the store and I touch it 2 hours later, is it still thriving? How is it affected if it's been sitting in a fridge? Like that carton of milk is sitting in a fridge. Mm-hmm. Does that change things?
Maybe.
Excuse me. Like, let me know.
Well, from what I understand, based on what the health minister has been saying for Ontario, is that, like, I'll use your example as an example. So you go to the grocery store and you touch a carton of milk that has COVID on it, right?
Yeah.
If you do your due diligence and, like, sanitize that milk when you get home, and then not touch your eyes or face and wash your hands and sanitize your hands, you won't get COVID. Because COVID can't enter your body through your hands. It's got to enter through an orifice, right? Like your ears or your nose or your mouth or your eyes. So it's a lot of fucking busy work. Mm-hmm. Like, it is, but and also, like, I guess it depends on your trust of the government and the health officials, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say, like, I literally said, like, this is what the health minister is saying, and between you and me, I'm inclined to believe them because they're professionals, and
it's gotten me this far.
And quite frankly,
haven't had COVID yet.
Exactly,
so.
and we cut it close.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I think that the health minister doesn't act not in the best interests of the public. Mm-hmm. It's literally your job to act in the best interests of the public.
And I know anybody can just not do their job at any given time. But
of course. Well, okay, but
like I said, I haven't had COVID yet.
We're also in a fucking pandemic, and you know what, man? Who am I supposed to believe?
Yeah.
Fucking Joe Blow on Facebook who's saying that COVID is a hoax?
I'm not trying to read QAnon, so
4chan?
Here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In lighter news, and let me have this. I know that there's no science behind this and that it doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
But and there's probably a logical explanation to it, and I'm just a space case, but let me have this.
Okay, let me know when to speak then.
I think I have a ghost.
Oh, really? That is the last thing I thought you were going to say.
I think I have a ghost. It's like a nice, helpful ghost in my house. So, I was showering the other night, and in my shower routine, like I use like a comb to part the center of my head before I do my side part.
Okay.
So that it's like it's all lined up. And I got out of the shower. The door to the bathroom was closed. And I got out of the shower and opened the door to go to the like cabinet where we keep all of our combs and like hair supplies and stuff like that. Sure. And the drawer where the comb is was already open.
Ooh.
And I was like, and Mom wasn't home.
Ooh.
She was at work. And I tried. I honestly tried. I was like,
did you open?
Before the shower, did I open the drawer for anything and could have just like, you know, gotten in the shower, like didn't think to close it? It's a possibility. But let me have this.
It's the one thing that made you smile in weeks.
And then the next day, I was cooking dinner for my mom and I needed the garlic crusher. And I opened the drawer where the garlic crusher was, and I was like sifting around in it, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, did I wash it from, because I used it the night before to make dinner too. Did I wash it and then like leave it to drip dry in the sink and just didn't put it back in the drawer today? Is that why it's not there? And I looked and it wasn't there and it wasn't there. And then I turned around and I looked at the countertop beside the drawer, and the garlic crusher was sitting right there.
Wow.
And I was like, did I take this out before?
Are you just going crazy?
Am I a total space case? And I'm like, you know, like it, and it's very possible. This is most definitely the explanation, which is that I knew that I was going to need the comb later. So I thought, oh, I'll get the comb out right now before the shower. And then my potential ADHD brain was like, let's do something else. And then I left the drawer open, and then before you knew it, I took a whole shower and I opened it and the drawer was still open.
Sure.
And I did the same thing with the garlic crusher. I was like, I know I'm going to need the garlic crusher because I always cook with garlic because I'm like that. I'm a good person.
Put garlic in your cereal.
Put garlic in everything. So let's take out the garlic crusher now because I know I'm going to need it. And then like did a bunch of other stuff, didn't think about it, and the garlic crusher was already out. But let me have this.
Sure. I mean,
I have a helpful ghost.
You're yelling at me like I was going to dispute you. Like,
in my house.
It's fine. You can have a ghost.
I want a helpful ghost in my house.
You're living with Casper.
Like, that knows, yeah. And I like, because like the drawer thing with the comb freaked me out. And then when it happened the day after with the garlic crusher, I like looked around and I just like took my headphones off because I was listening to music, and I went, thank you, ghost.
Really? You did that?
Yeah. I was like, thank you, ghost. That was very helpful.
Wow.
Because I don't want it to turn malevolent on me.
You don't want to turn into a poltergeist.
Yeah. I don't want it to turn into like a malevolent ghost situation.
Totally.
So I was just like, thank you, ghost.
You have a good thing.
I'm glad you're here, ghost. I love you.
And he was like, what's your Netflix password?
I will share my Netflix password with the ghost. He can have his own profile.
How fucked up would that be? We make a profile.
Actually, I've been using gender neutral pronouns because I don't know. It could be a woman or not.
You make a profile for the ghost and then you check it out of fun. Like, oh, this fun, stupid little profile.
Yeah.
And it's been watching stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like red bars over videos and stuff. That would freak me out.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, who's watching Netflix on the ghost account?
That's how the Poltergeist reboot starts.
When
they
really
reboot it for the 21st century, it's like someone like finds a secret profile and they've only been watching like creepy movies the entire time.
Come on, you know what that reminds me of? We're talking about freaky stuff. There is a whole like bunch of people who've been affected by this thing where people who will like break into your house and like live in your attic completely unbeknownst to the people who live there.
Yeah.
And then like when you're gone will like come out and like strategically take like small amounts of food so you don't really notice.
I told you that creepy story about the guy, the little kid who saw the guy in the vent.
That's right.
And then the maggots fell on his head.
And he was dead.
And yeah, they went up and they found the dead body.
But that was a scary story. That wasn't like real.
Yeah, it was a creepypasta.
No, but this happens to people.
Yeah.
Like I was reading a testimonial on Reddit where it's like, yo, it happened on the news, where my local news, where like this guy was living in this dude's attic for like, they theorized like over a year.
Yeah.
And like the guy clearly wasn't violent. He was obviously just like a homeless person or something.
Yeah.
But like that, there is no way to ever feel safe in your home again after that happens.
Yeah.
Like your personal security is completely gone.
It's tough because it's one of those things where like, yeah, no, it's a total breach of security and you feel violated when you find out that, like, I would feel violated if I found out that it was happening to me.
I'd sell the house.
But like, it is so innocent and the intention behind it is nothing but pure. Like nothing but good intentioned. They were just a homeless person and they were desperate and they needed help. Like,
yeah. My whole thing is how'd they get in there? Like that's what would freak me out.
Yeah.
Like at what point did you waltz in when I was in my basement with the door unlocked or something?
Like people keep stuff in their attics. Like people need to go up to the attic at some point.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid for an entire year? Like how do you avoid the day where they come up to get the Christmas decorations? Like how do you avoid, like the day where, someone just gets nostalgic and decides to look at old family photo albums that are all up there? Like how do you navigate that as the homeless person? Do
you guys have an attic?
Technically, yes, but it's not like an attic. It's an above space. It's insulated. Okay. It helps keep heat in the house.
Yeah, we have an attic as well. Same thing. It's insulated. I think Dad says he keeps a few things up there, but like nothing that we'd ever really need to go get. So like, I've never been up there.
Deep dark family secrets.
I have no desire to go into the attic.
The Never-Ending Story book is up there.
Yeah, really. We're keeping the whole dragon from Never-Ending Story up in our fucking attic.
That movie is so bad.
No, it's not.
Yeah, Cameron.
No, it's not.
Listen, I love the Never-Ending Story, but it is a terrible movie.
Well,
Falcor looks like shit.
It's very cheesy.
It's not even like oh, like the CGI aged poorly or like whatever they had with technology.
I'm pretty sure it's a
at
puppet.
The time. Like it is so clearly a puppet. It looks like a TikTok that you know how when somebody puts like an image or a video up in the background of a TikTok, and every time the person recording it moves, like the background is cut out.
Sure.
Like that's what the Never-Ending Story looks like. But it's a movie. It's not just a little TikTok that somebody made on their phone. It had a production.
It's also made in the 80s, right? Like it's fucking made a long time ago.
So bad. I watched it recently, and oh my god. I mean, I love that movie, but. It's just like it shows, like Ghostbusters CGI looks bad because it was made in the 80s, but Never-Ending Story is on a whole other level of bad.
My favorite part of the not my favorite part, but a part that sticks out of my mind in Never-Ending Story is where it's like the whole movie is pretty whimsical and it's like fun little adventure, and then the horse fucking dies.
I mean, like that scene was like the reason why we all had I think this is my theory is like. The reason why we all had an irrational fear of quicksand.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
You know how like every once in a while someone's like, I thought quicksand was going to be like a much bigger problem in my life.
For me, it was tornadoes.
That makes sense. But yeah, no, I remember thinking like, what do I do if I run into quicksand? Like, am I in an area where I could potentially run into quicksand? I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna run into quicksand on Yonge Street.
Yeah.
Get sucked below.
I think I'm safe. But I don't know.
Sure,
I'm in like if I'm there's a tiny forest by my house. It's more like a bush, really. Like, is it possible that there could be quicksand there? And I could just be playing in the bush with my friends one day, and one of us runs into some quicksand. Like,
yeah. What is Australia?
What? Yeah, is that only in Australia thing? Like, what is going on? Like, do I need to be concerned about this? No one ever assured me that I didn't have to be.
And the worst part about that horse dying and whatever ending story is like. He dies a slow and clearly painful death.
And the kid has to watch his horse slowly sink into the quicksand.
And the kid is screaming and the horse is screaming.
Yeah.
Like when like there's deaths in movies and even like deaths in life where like the person dies and you're sad and you feel it, but like there was a lot of acceptance, there was a lot of moving on. Like this was the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
This was sudden and harsh
and terrible
and horrible.
Yeah.
Is the Never-Ending Story, is the bad guy like a horrifying wolf monster? Is that the same movie?
I think so, yeah.
And like you always see him in like the shadows, and there's like lightning, and it always goes like, and you see his face.
Wow, I don't remember.
Yeah.
All I remember about the Never-Ending Story is that like there's a princess, and the princess has something that could save the world.
Sure.
And at some point, the kid reading the book has to help the actual protagonist in the story to save the princess.
Okay.
I don't remember a dark force that was preventing the protagonist from achieving their goal.
The Never-Ending Story.
I really don't remember.
Bad guy. He's a bad... Yeah, Gmork. This thing.
Oh, that thing was so scary.
Yeah, because oh my god, look at this one. Ew! Ew.
Yeah.
If I remember, I'll put these pictures in the video of the podcast.
That actually scared me.
Google Gmork. Gmork. Gmork.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this being really scary.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually like, okay, so it's funny where we're talking about the Neverending Story. You mentioned the effects being bad, and like they are, obviously. Gmork looks like garbage.
Falkor is essentially, like New Year's celebrations where like he's
like a streamer.
Like Chinese New Year celebrations where like the dragon thing comes out with the people and the mouth operate. He looks like one of those.
Of course. I mean, he's probably based on that too. Yeah. But I think there's an argument for practical effects to still be used today. Totally. The child from The Mandalorian is practical. He's a puppet, right? But he looks so good because of it. And I feel, in my personal opinion, like you form a more real connection with something that you know exists and is like being held by actors and like look and like when they look and they see it, it's right there. Yeah. Like I was listening to a podcast and a couple of guys were talking about like they're older fellas, and they're talking about how like one of them doesn't really like horror movies anymore because so many horror movies are just like CGI monsters. Yeah. And for him, a guy who's been alive for like many decades and having at one point watched movies that didn't have CGI, it's hard to identify with something you know for a fact is computer generated. Now, for people like us, I think it's a bit more easy because we're used to CGI.
Especially in horror, because you're trying to convince yourself that it's not real. That's how you go to sleep after seeing a horror movie.
For sure. But I think that there's an amazing argument to be made about like a horror film enemy, like the monster or the killer or the whatever, like being practical. Yeah. Because that means it's real, like it's physical. The actors are reacting to this scary thing that you're reacting to. Yeah. And it becomes very authentic in a way. And I think that's so interesting.
Well, it was also like, especially if a movie becomes beloved, if the effects are real, like you say, like there's an attachment to that thing, and you can also like bring that thing to other people and it makes them happy.
Sure.
People are happy and enjoy trying to find and like visit. Okay, so I learned this when I got deep into my Jaws hole when we were recording Haven't Seen It, which you should go listen to.
You can listen to Haven't Seen
It from our friends from Big Cake.
Shout out to Will and Alenka. We miss you.
I got into like a research hole because I was trying to like learn as much about the movie as possible. But apparently the actual shark that they used in Jaws doesn't exist anymore. It's been destroyed.
Well, Frank or Bill or whatever the fuck it was called?
Bruce. Because Bruce didn't fucking work. And he pissed Steven Spielberg off to no end. Why would you want to keep him?
Spielberg probably broke Bruce with a sledgehammer personally.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he was done with that shark.
Yeah. So, the molds that the props master used to make Bruce have also since been destroyed or aren't really used anymore. The last remaining shark that was made using the molds to make Bruce from Jaws are now, I believe, sitting over top of a junkyard in LA.
Oh, wow.
So there's a giant junkyard, and like the gates to the junkyard have like a huge shark at the top of them.
And that's the authentic Jaws shark.
And it was made from the molds that were used to make Bruce from Jaws.
That really should go to like a film museum or something, don't you think?
I think. I don't know.
That belongs in a museum.
I think maybe like Spielberg has like a piece of the orca or something like that. There's some other memorable. Oh yeah, the plastic barrels. People love to source the plastic barrels that they used in Jaws.
The plastic barrels?
Yeah,
like the one you shoot at the end of the film?
Yeah, that they tried to attach to Bruce to keep him above water so that they could harpoon him.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the canister. Like the Tron, that's a son of like right at the end of the film?
No, not the oxygen tank.
Right.
No, the big plastic not oil barrels, but the big plastic barrels that they attached to like pieces of rope.
Okay,
and
sure.
And tried to harpoon.
Like buoyants. They're fucking buoys.
To keep Bruce buoyant in the movie so that they could harpoon him easier. People try and find those. People love, like Freddy Krueger is an actor. People love to go to conventions and meet Freddy, because like
the actor who plays Freddy, you mean?
Yeah, because he looks, like obviously makeup was used to make him look like a burn victim, but you can see the face, You're like, oh man, I'm standing in front of Freddy right now. Like, holy shit. The mask, the Jason mask, like people want to own a piece of that. Like, where's the original Jason mask? Blah, 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 blah.
That is really cool though.
And like people love the fact that, another fun factoid, the Michael Myers mask is like a altered William Shatner mask.
I knew that. I knew that.
When they were shooting the movie, they were just like, go out and like the guy needs something to wear. He wears a mask. So so they went to like some dude went to like Party City and like found a William Shatner mask. And apparently it didn't look anything like William Shatner. It was a bad Shatner mask. But they like turned it inside out and put a bad wig on it or something. And like that's how you got the Michael Myers mask. You know, like people love, like practical effects are beneficial for stuff like that. Because not only do people love like trying to find the item, like collectors love that. It creates like a lore around your movie that people love to like chase after, and a feeling that people love to chase after. And when you have CGI, it's just like it kind of goes poof after the movie is done, you know? Like you just erase a file and then you make fucking Hotel Transylvania 4.
Yeah,
and
you want the Blender file?
Exactly.
You load it up and look at the 3D model on your computer.
What's your Gmail account? I can send it to you.
It's over 25 megabytes though, so it's going to have to be a Google link.
I can share it in a Google Drive. Here's the folder.
No,
it's like it's not as fun. Something practical. It's like you love traveling to, you know, you can make like exhibits out of it and stuff like that. You know, like
I'm gonna Google something.
The Hogwarts castle is a model. It's sitting in the Warner Brothers tour in London right now. You can go see the exact model that they used to film aerial shots of the Hogwarts castle in between scenes. You know, like practical effects give your movie lore and like something to consume, like something more to consume about the movie after it's done.
Yeah, totally. I'm just Googling right now. I wanted to see if, well, you've never seen this movie, but one of my favorite horror movies is The Babadook.
Okay.
And I wanted to see if the monster was practical.
Yeah, I think it was a person in a costume.
I think it's just a person in a costume.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. But it also adds to to what you just said, right? It's just like, what makes that movie so scary amongst many things is just the fact that when you're looking at it on camera, you know it's there.
Yeah.
That's why I've always wanted to see a stage production of The Woman in Black.
Yeah.
Because you imagine a fucking horror theater? What's that like?
God. Just kill me.
Well,
like I say that all the time, but like literally kill me, because I'd be living in fear. I'd be like, actually stab me, please. If I come out of this alive, like, what was the point?
Well, especially because, like, put it this way.
Please just kill me at the end of it.
From an acting perspective, when Daniel Radcliffe was filming The Woman in Black, I'm sure they did lots of spooky set stuff. And
Fun fact, his girlfriend played The Woman in Black.
No way. Yeah. Really? He's still with her?
At least I think for the end. I don't know if it's one that he's still... I don't know.
The Woman in Black is like an old woman.
Is. But she's veiled.
I guess so.
You don't see her face.
I think you do at the end of the movie. Whatever. It's not. We're getting off track.
Yeah.
So obviously, when he was filming that film, you know, they had like the set, which was authentic, and like they, you know, but like a lot of the shit they use for CGI is like green screen markers, right? They'll have like a big like puppet covered in green screen.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Daniel, like this is gonna come at you, and you have to react like the Woman in Black is coming at you.
I mean, like, speaking of Daniel Radcliffe, Dobby the house elf was an orange ball on a stick in Harry Potter.
The exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, but when you watch The Woman in Black and it's scary, you go, whatever. Now imagine being an actor in a theater production, a big budget theater production of The Woman in Black, where you don't see a fucking green puppet coming at you. No, you see the Woman in Black.
Yeah.
Coming at you with like flashing lights. Like, I feel like I would actually freak out if I was an actor.
That's why I say, just kill me then. If you're going to put me in that situation, I would like to actually die.
Totally.
Thank you very much.
Like, could after the show, could I go into the lobby and meet the Woman in Black? Could she curse me and my children for generations? Yeah, she's
come out with like stage makeup like halfway off. Yeah. Like she's just like rubbing baby wipes over her face, like exhausted, like coming out the stage door.
Oh my God, thank you so much for coming, you guys.
Okay.
Hello. Big hugs. Yeah. You know, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Have you ever stood at stage door and like gotten autographs?
No, no. I mean, I've
never
seen
a Broadway show before, right?
I saw Jersey Boys on Broadway.
Okay.
Many years ago.
Okay.
And then I saw a couple of off-Broadway shows. So I guess I don't know if this is off-Broadway, but I saw the Blue Man Group.
Okay, cool.
Which was great. You ever seen the Blue Man Group?
Never. Well, I have seen part of the Blue Man Group on DVD.
No,
Blue Man Group is like Stomp, where it's one of those like things that music teachers show at the end of the semester when there's like nothing left to teach you.
We covered the curriculum and there's an extra day.
There's an extra day, so like they'll put on I always got Stomp.
Sure.
But Blue Man Group was another one that I got in like grade 10 piano class.
The Blue Man Group is a show that I never thought I would enjoy as much as I ended up enjoying it.
Well, because there's a lot of audience participation in Blue Man Group.
There is, but there's also just like, it is my favorite kind of comedy.
Yeah.
It's very specific. I've never really talked about this before, but I have such a fucking boner for characters that don't talk.
Yeah.
But then convey so much expression and emotion.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I love cartoons so much.
Yeah.
Because there's so many characters like that. Like, my favorite characters in Disney movies are always like the horse that can't talk.
Yeah.
Like in Frozen or whatever.
Right.
Because that horse has tons of personality.
Like Dragon in Shrek.
That's right. The dragon in Shrek doesn't talk either.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I love silent characters because they have to work with so much more to get across their emotions and their expressions.
Yeah.
And I have such I love that. I really, and the Blue Man Group is that's the whole bit, right?
Yeah.
Because they're all stone-faced, like dead-eyed blue people. And they do these crazy bits with like, sleight of hand tricks, and like it's really, really funny. My favorite part of the Blue Man Group, and this isn't necessarily a spoiler because they change their act every couple of years, so they might not even do this anymore. At one point, they get an audience member to come up on stage, and they have this big Jello mold. It's like giant Jello mold on stage, and they're like very subtly trying to be like, put your phone in the Jello mold. Like they don't say that obviously, like, and they take the phone out. It's obviously not her phone, and then like they like put it in the Jello mold, and they just stare at it, and they're like, all right, good. And like they go to be like go back to your seat, but then it catapults into the audience, the Jello mold. Like I don't know how they do this. I'm sure like there's like a stagehand who just like catches it and like fucking goes backstage or something.
Yeah.
But it's the only moment in the show where any of the Blue Man Group show even an iota of emotion.
Yeah,
because they're just sitting there, and then it launches off, and the only thing they do is all of their eyebrows just go up, and they like stand up and like try to catch it.
Yeah.
But then like when they realize that it's already gone, they just snap back and sit back down, like back to stone face.
Yeah.
I was crying.
That sounds like the kind of thing you would laugh
It's
at.
so fun because I love the idea of the illusion dropping for half a second.
Yeah.
Of like even the actors playing the Blue Man Group were surprised.
Yeah.
like that really tickles me.
Yeah.
I love shit like that. I was crying
really
laughing.
Yeah. No, I'm terrified of the Blue Man Group just because I know that they pluck people out of the audience, and I spend quite a bit of energy ensuring that I'm never in that situation.
You just don't sit in the middle and don't sit near the front. Because that's where they pull people.
Yeah.
It's no one in the fringe.
I will gladly take nosebleed seats to the Blue Man Group.
Oh, yeah.
I will gladly do that.
But you know what's going to happen, though? We'll take nosebleed seats, and someone will be like, you. And like point up and grab you.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's my strategy. Don't say that.
I knocked on wood.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
But yeah, no, that sounds really funny.
No,
I would like to see Stomp live one day. Do they still do Stomp?
I've never heard of Stomp. What's Stomp?
You've never heard of Stomp?
No.
Dude, Stomp is sick. Stomp is...
Like the Yard?
Pardon?
Like the Yard?
No, Stomp is making music with everyday objects.
Cool.
So, like, they have a whole sequence where they have those, like, those, like, really, really wide brooms that, like, custodians use to sweep school hallways and stuff?
Yeah.
They have, like, a whole sequence where they, like... They make an entire song, or they perform an entire song by like sweeping and then like turning the broom over and like knocking it on the wood and stuff like that.
There's like YouTube videos that do that shit.
And
That's
then
cool.
and then they bang on like plastic barrels and I don't know, like chain link, like bashing on chain link fences and stuff like that. Like they make music out of garbage and everyday objects.
Sure. Okay.
And
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Stomp is really cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see that. That sounds cool.
Yeah. There's lots of jokes about like being in a theater or like living below somebody who is auditioning for Stomp. How it's like the worst thing. Yeah.
It's like our parents in the kitchen.
Yeah. Too real.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time in basements, and I figured out my parents are all heavy stompers.
Heavy stompers.
I have a question for you, actually, in that regard.
Yeah.
Can you tell who's coming? Like, if you're upstairs or downstairs, do you know who's coming based on their walk?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if everyone has that.
I know that your dad is much quieter than your mom.
Oh yeah.
So like I can sense like if somebody is going to, because the stairs to the basement are right beside the doorway to the living room.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, here's the point where I can tell whether they're coming downstairs or going into the living room. Okay, they're coming down the stairs. And if I can't hear each step, it's your dad. If I can hear each step, it's your mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if my dad from below, my dad is like.
Yeah.
But my mom is like.
Well, your mom often comes down. Your mom enters every single room with a purpose.
Exactly.
Every single, because your mom works from home.
Yeah.
So throughout the day, like she comes down the stairs like doop 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 because she's got a purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Your dad is usually like, if he's coming downstairs, he's like getting a beer, he's, you know, getting wine from the bar to get to your mom. His workday is done. He works at the construction site, so like
when he clocks out,
when he's
done.
at home,
yeah,
you know, he's a lot more lackadaisical because, you know, like he's
because he earned that.
You know, he's cooking dinner. Your dad loves to cook, so he's enjoying himself. He's just like do. And then like a couple seconds later, he's on like the second last stair or something like that.
Totally.
Coming down. But if your mom ever comes downstairs, it's usually because she has to tell us something, because if whatever we tell her, she's going to go and like do an action upstairs based on what we tell her or talk to her about. So it's very like do, because she's like, I got to get this shit done now.
Yeah.
Whereas your dad's like, time to get the ribs out, getting a beer, we're going to have wine.
It's going to be fun.
Know, I'm getting decorations, something from the storage room, decorations, a pillow, blanket, something. Here we go.
So my question for you then is, what's my walk like?
You're like your mom. You're heavy-footed.
Heavy-footed?
Yeah.
You can be coming from a mile away?
Yeah. Well, I always like so we always go to bed after your parents have gone to bed.
Yeah.
And you have a spiral staircase, and it's not like freestanding, obviously, because it's a staircase. It's up against a wall. But it spirals around the chandelier, and so when you go up the stairs, the chandelier shakes a little bit. Like
Really?
It vibrates up to the chandelier. So I go upstairs because your parents are both asleep. They're both in bed and I'm trying to be quiet, but you're comfortable in your house. So you just like you don't give a fuck. And I can hear the chandelier like shaking.
Wow.
So like if you're out of bed before I am, or like if I'm upstairs before you and I'm like listening for you to come upstairs and like join me, I can tell that you're coming up the stairs because I can hear the chandelier like shaking as you go up the stairs.
That's crazy. That is such, like, my hearing, obviously, as everyone knows at home, my hearing isn't great.
Yeah.
That chandelier noise must be on a register that I literally cannot hear.
I mean, like, I'll show you sometime. Like,
I believe you. I'm not saying I don't believe you.
I'll walk upstairs with you right now and like show you what I'm talking about.
No, I believe you. I'm just saying, like, I've literally never heard that.
I mean, like, I've actually wondered sometimes, like, why your parents don't come out and be like, will you stop stomping up the fucking stairs? Because it's like, you like land really heavily on the steps.
Which is funny because, like, I think the reason for that is obviously just that we've lived together for our entire lives.
Yeah.
So, like, they're just not, they probably don't
used to how you move around the house.
They also probably don't even register it.
Yeah.
It's like, even when my mom, who has a heavy foot, like, I can say that she has a heavy foot, but it's not like, it doesn't disturb me anymore, right? Yeah. Like, I used to, when I was in elementary school, or in high school for that matter, I always knew mom was coming to wake me up because I'd be awake by the time she got to my door.
Yeah.
You know, like, it'd just be like, all right.
But it's just a fact of life for you. It's just the way things go.
You walk very quietly. You have a little slide to your feet.
Yeah,
like,
I slip slide around. Yeah,
when
I don't always like lift off.
I can always tell when you're coming to the studio because I'll hear because that's how you walk. Like you do like a little.
I do kind of like slide into every door frame.
You're like Kramer. You slide into the apartment. Hey, Karen. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you have a little slidey slide.
I didn't even think of that.
Something I used to actually, this was pointed out to me in my first year of university, is I used to have like a toe pointed walk.
Oh, like tiptoe.
I would tiptoe.
Yeah.
And I think I was a lot quieter back in the day because I used to, when I was a kid, I used to actively try to be quiet. I had this thing in my head where like if I woke up at like 6 a.m. and I was supposed to be up at 7 for school, but I had to pee at 6 a.m., I'd wake up and tiptoe to the bathroom and be as quiet as possible because in my head, for some reason, I was like, well, if my parents know I'm awake, they're going to make me stay awake. Which doesn't make any sense, and it's not based in logic or reality at all.
Yeah.
But that's what I used to do. So for the longest time, I would tiptoe. And then our first year university acting prof, Heather Hill, actually helped me correct my walk.
Oh, wow.
And like now I walk heel to toe like a normal person. But I think as a result, I've gotten louder as I walk around now.
Yeah, it's also about the way your house is built, right?
We have a very creaky house.
Yeah.
There's tons of noises in this house constantly.
Yeah, constantly.
Like, I remember when my uncle moved in with us for a little bit, because he was coming and going for his own work. He mentioned to my mom, like, yeah, like, I don't know if you know this, but your house is, like, loud. like, you hear, like...
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was a kid, it used to freak me out.
Yeah, because you think it's ghosts.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, my house is the same way too, but it's like different creaks. So like I'm used to in my house, like certain things.
I don't even hear it anymore, the creaks. Like it's extra noise.
I mean, like I've said before, when we moved into the house that I currently live in, and I've lived in for most of my life at this point, we had a cat. So when the house would make noises, I'd just be like, oh, that's just cat. Ginger walking around downstairs, like whatever. Yeah, and then the cat died and the creaks kept happening. And I was like, oh, can we get another cat?
So I can pretend that it's
so I can blame this on something? I hate this. But yeah, like, I think, I don't know if I'm used to the creaks in my house or not. I don't think it makes a lot of noise.
Is Apollo the loudest cat you've had?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah? When he zooms up and down the hallway.
Well, he also has this like mournful meows for like, well, I've learned that it really is just extra energy.
Yeah, totally.
Like I have learned that he just has, you think about it, he spends the day sleeping. Mm-hmm. So at night, he's got all this energy to expend, but like we're trying to go to bed. Like he works in opposite circadian rhythms.
Fucking stupid cat. I hate
than we do. Which like I would love to correct, but when I'm working, it helps that the cat is asleep and not trying to like play around and stuff like that. You know, like I would just like it if my cat was just lazy, you know? This is why I always wanted an adult cat, but I digress.
Mom.
Whatever. I mean, I said yes to it too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I just he's just an energetic little boy.
Well, if there's something you to say to Apollo right now, what would you say?
Just like sit down, man. Just sit.
Get a fucking job, Apollo.
Just get like let me tell you, I'd be like, listen, I'm going to tell you about a thing called TV, okay? And I'm going to teach you how to turn the power on. And whenever you turn the power on the TV, I'll put on some TV for you.
You know that Apollo would fuck with your Netflix queues, though. You know for a fact he would fuck with your Netflix queues. What would Apollo watch? What would he watch?
What would he watch?
Oh my God.
If he could operate Netflix.
I gotta think.
Would he be into like Impractical Jokers?
No, he'd be really into like those Netflix dating shows where like you can't see the person you're talking to.
Oh my God, yeah.
The Circle or whatever?
Yeah, The Circle and like Love Island and shit.
You'd be a sucker for that.
Fuck on my Netflix queue with like shitty reality TV.
Apollo is
I'd have to get a Hey You account.
Exactly.
Just so you could watch more reality TV.
Apollo is the biggest Riverdale fan in the house.
Oh my God. No, I think Apollo... I don't know. I think Apollo would like he would like what's the guy who drank, he would like Bear Grylls, you know?
Oh yeah, Survivor
and like
Man and
Crocodile Hunter.
Totally.
And like Planet Earth, you know, like nature documentaries and stuff. Yeah, I think that's what Apollo would like.
He would just watch the animals go by.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
For him, you walk in, he's just like shaking his little tail.
Yeah.
And he like dives at the TV and hits it at first because he's not very smart.
Disney has that documentary that's all about cats. Like big cats.
Yeah. We should watch that.
Show him his people.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Show him where he came from. Yeah, show him his roots.
You want to teach him about tigers? I feel like Apollo's dangerous enough.
He's already got hunter instincts.
It's true.
When you play with it, you don't play with him a whole lot. But
I'm not at your house very often.
Apollo,
anymore.
The way that he plays, like some cats, you can like put down a toy. You know, like those little circles with a ball in it that's like forever trapped in it, and the cat just like bats the ball around forever and ever and ever. Apollo doesn't play with that because Apollo needs you to operate a toy to act as prey.
Yeah.
He needs to hunt. That's how he plays. He needs to hunt things.
He doesn't just like pick up a ball and like hold the ball.
No.
And like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun with this ball.
You can't like, and like I keep telling Mom, like she keeps, every once in a while she'll buy him a toy and she'll like roll it out to him and he'll look at it, and once it's stopped moving, he's like, that's not fucking real.
Yeah.
That's not real. I don't want this. You need to like take a stuffed mouse and like stand down on the opposite end of the hall from him and like dangle it around.
You gotta make it look like a real mouse.
And make it move and then make it sit still. And then make it move and then make it sit still. Like I always think about nature documentaries where they show like cheetahs and tigers and lions, like how they observe gazelles when they're like standing at a pond like drinking water, and how they move and they look up and they look around and then they go back and they look up and they look around and then they go back to the water, because that's how Apollo watches the toys that I play with him.
Yeah.
So you have to act like prey.
The only difference is that the cheetahs are expertly hidden in tall grass, and Apollo thinks he's invisible, standing in the middle.
Pretends,
of the fucking
but that
hallway.
instinct is there. He's not there, but in his mind, he's like, I have to act like I'm like in some tall grass.
He starts hearing the drums, starts hearing like the
yeah.
I love that cat.
Yeah.
Even though I want to choke him sometimes.
You know what? I haven't wanted to choke him so much as of late.
Well, you figured something out with
Ever
Apollo.
since I understood that Apollo wants to play,
I'm
like, okay, like at nighttime, if he's running around and I have I'll make time, I'll bust out the string and then I'll like let him chase it around for a little bit and then he's not an asshole anymore.
Yeah, and then he'll sit with you and stuff.
He just wanted to play.
Didn't he curl up on you a couple days ago?
Yeah, he's started, well, now that I play with him, like I do what he wants, he started liking me more, so he hangs out in my room all day.
Aww.
I actually, like, because I sleep with my door closed, when I get up in the morning, I'll go downstairs and I'll find Apollo in the basement, and I'll bring him up to my room and put him on my bed, and he stays. He never used to stay. But ever since I started playing with him and like acknowledging his needs and like giving them to him.
You guys have a rapport now.
He likes me, therefore a space that he knows that I inhabit, like my bedroom, he doesn't mind being around.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad you two found an understanding. After all these years, you're on the same page now.
It was really cute. Yesterday morning, I woke up early because I had to go to the bathroom. So I woke up, opened my door, left my door open because I had to pee really badly. I wasn't like, close the door behind me. Went pee, got back to my room, and Apollo was sitting on the bed.
Aww.
He was like, you opened your door, so I'm allowed in here now.
Yeah, I'm here now.
And I was like, okay.
That's nice.
Yeah, you're allowed. And I got into bed, and he stayed too, and he like napped with me.
What a nice little guy.
Yeah. See, it's all about, you got to figure out what your cat needs, Like, they can't talk, so you kind of have to infer a lot and try different things until you figure out something that works.
Absolutely.
But that's see, this is why I love cats, because that's really rewarding.
Right there,
now that it took me a long time, but now that I figured it out, it feels really rewarding that I like understood what this animal wanted of me and can provide that, and now our relationship is better because of it.
There you go.
He didn't just like love me out of the gate,
It's an allegory for a real relationship. He defined how to communicate with their friend, partner, parent, whatever. Figure out what they want, you figure out what you want, and you come to a middle ground. Yeah. Except for when it's a cat, you have to do exactly what they want because they're a cat.
Well, no, I don't have to tolerate everything that cat does. But yeah, learning about playing.
Apollo was nice last time I talked to him. Last time I was there with him.
Yeah.
Let me pet him and shit.
Yeah, you learn each other's patterns and stuff.
Exactly. When next time he swipes at me and he wants to like play, I might just grab a toy or something.
Yeah, replace it with replace you as the toy with an actual toy, so that he doesn't go for your hand as much.
Whip that little mouse right at his head or something. Yeah. No, I would never do that.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a podcast.
All right, bye.
You can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Music, Spotify,
Apple Podcasts, by the way.
Apple Music, Apple Podcasts.
No, they're different.
You can find fucking, that's true. Apple Podcasts.
I'll just cut in there.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. We stream 2 to 3 times a week over at twitch.tv/chillspot. You can check our videos up on our YouTube channel.
Please.
We have so much content, and in these trying times, we're trying to keep everybody happy and busy and occupied and feeling good. So come join us.
Yes.
It's a good headspace. Chill spot. We're good for your health.
Doctor recommended.
Bye, everybody.
And if you're trying to have an affair, use offer code. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Click this link for 20% off Raycon. Fucking goddamn Blue Apron, motherfucking Third Love, goddamn Squarespace, son of a bitch, Quip. You got that stupid fucking home security system. You want a goddamn?
What are you doing?
Do you wanna?